if we really are in outrage over big food, big pharma, and like policies that are in place, then we need to stay as a unified front. We are not going to change the world by being fractured little, groups. We need to stay unified and keep our eyes on the real enemy of good health. Hey, what's up, family? I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are two crazy ketos.
Welcome back to the channel. So a little while ago, we went on the low carb cruise and we gave a presentation. And unfortunately, the presentation did not record properly at the low carb cruise, but we feel like this is a super important topic. So we decided we wanted to bring you our presentation from the low carb cruise to our channel.
So today we're going to be talking about the keto middle ground, why we personally are done with extremes and echo chambers, and we hope that we can help you release that as well.
So let's start off with this. If you are new to our channel, we are not doctors, nurses, or health professionals.
No, we're not, but let's tell you what we are. We are a couple who have lost more than 300 pounds combined. We've had all of our personal medicine deprescribed. We've gained back our mobility, especially in Joe's case, and we have maintained success for nearly a decade now.
Yeah, so if you are new to our channel, this is actually what we looked like before. And fun fact about this picture of me, this picture of me is right about when I was starting keto. However, at the time that this picture was taken, I had actually been working out with a personal trainer in a CrossFit situation because I have a lot of different injuries that I've done to myself over the years and I couldn't do traditional CrossFit. So I had been working out with somebody for several months, and at the time I took this picture, I had actually lost a bunch of weight.
Fun fact about my picture, I had no idea it was being taken because back then I didn't allow pictures of myself, particularly without there being a lot of obstructions in front of me to hide myself.
So one thing about us is we are very much in community. If you don't know a lot about us, we love to celebrate our community, and you can actually get a hold of our community at our Mighty Networks group, which you can use this QR code. It is completely free, and you can join there at members.twocrazyketos.com.
So without further ado, let's start talking about sharks. I know that sounds kind of weird on a keto channel, but we are close to Shark Week actually this year. So let's talk about sharks. Not carbs, not insulin, but sharks.
So we can't talk about sharks without talking about the movie Jaws. So in 1975, the movie Jaws came out, and it was successful.
Actually, that is a tremendous understatement. It was actually the #1 movie of 1975. Let us know down in the comments if you remember the hype around the Jaws release, because it essentially created the modern summer blockbuster. It was the first summer blockbuster movie, and it completely changed how Hollywood releases movies going forward.
So why was the movie Jaws so good? Not because it was loud, and it wasn't because it was an extreme movie, and it really wasn't even because you saw the shark constantly, because you honestly rarely saw the shark. It worked because of restraint.
Yeah, because like Joe said, you barely saw the shark. The tension instead came from what you didn't see. It was just disciplined storytelling, and it changed cinema forever.
So what happened after the movie Jaws came out? Jaws 2 came out.
Because if one thing was successful, we want to continue making money off this thing. So we escalated with Jaws 2. And after Jaws 2 came...
Jaws 3D.
Absolutely. And then after Jaws 3D, there was Jaws the Revenge.
So the thinking became, well, people love sharks, so let's give them more shark.
Of course, by the time you had the 4th movie, the shark was tracking one family across the ocean as if it had Google Maps. At some point, it stopped being terrifying, and it just started being ridiculous.
So why was this? Well, it's very simple. Because escalation replaced the discipline.
Yeah, and you know what? That's what humans do with success. When something works, we assume that the answer is more.
Yeah, so more intensity,
More restriction,
more certainty, and of course, with all of that, more rules.
The problem is more is not the same as better.
So when your health is broken, extremes feel really, really powerful. You go from chaos to control, from confusion to clarity, and you go from I don't know what to eat to I know exactly what to eat. And that feels stabilizing.
Trust us, we understand. Just like you saw in the opening, we've been there. And for many of us, keto was so helpful in the beginning because we needed structure, we needed discipline, and we really needed to break old habits.
So the original plan worked just like the first Jaws did. It was simple, it was focused, and it was intentional. I think back to when we started keto way back in 2018. It was, or actually for me, it was 2017. When we started it, everything was very simple. You just didn't eat pasta, grains, sugar, and starches.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter what everything else was, so long as you weren't eating those things. Some people were stricter, some people weren't, some people ate more meat, some people ate some vegetables. But here's what happens next.
We start believing that if some restriction works, then more restriction must work better.
So pursuing lower carbs became chasing zero carbs, as if that's even possible or necessary.
And like Joe said, when we started, we had tremendous success, like lost more than 100 pounds, got all of our medicine deprescribed just by following that really like loose set of rules. Basically, if it's white, don't eat it, right? Don't eat bread, don't eat rice, don't eat pasta, don't eat grains, don't eat sugar. That's all we did. And we had amazing success. Then suddenly that wasn't enough in our head. And we thought, well, we've got to chase zero carbs. But you know what? There's there's carbs in eggs. There's carbs in liver. I mean, there's carbs in coffee.
There's
ridiculous.
carbs in oysters.
Absolutely ridiculous.
So over the years within the community, eat meat has become all plants are trying to kill you.
So crazy when I think about how many times we just kept it really simple by making a meal of simple salad with some meat on it and like done for the day, right?
So in addition, stabilizing insulin has become feel like a failure if you still drink Diet Coke.
It's so foolish because again, we had so much success just with Diet Coke in our midst, right?
So when I got started on keto, and I think when a lot of people who've been around for a while got started on keto, a lot of us followed Dr. Berg because he was like the biggest person on YouTube talking about keto. He promoted eating 7 cups of vegetables a day. I lost over 100 pounds eating 7 cups of vegetables a day. I reversed my prediabetes. I reversed all of my arthritis. Rachel had several health improvement issues.
Well, and it became a focus of do less bad. And that seemed very approachable. You know, the thought was be 1% better than you were yesterday. And it just was something that it was a bite-sized success that we could have. Like I could do that in 24 hours. Just make a decent choice in the moment.
But here's what's going on is before you know it, the entire keto and carnivore community has turned into sequel territory.
Absolutely. I mean, we are teetering on Jaws 4 going into Jaws 5, right? And this is where food stops being fuel and starts being identity. I mean, I remember, you know, when we got started, we were kids pastors. We didn't just make our entire lives about mealtime. That wasn't who we were. That was just what we ate. And it was easier to like untangle yourself from the fuel that you were using to fuel your purpose. It wasn't your purpose in life.
So what's going on in the keto and carnivore community right now? Disagreement is now feeling threatening. If you question, then you're disloyal. And nuance now feels like it's a weakness. And social media is making this 10 times worse.
Yeah.
So what do we mean by that? Let's take a look at some of these comments that we pulled off of very popular carnivore websites or Facebook groups. Here's one from the World Carnivore Tribe. Somebody asking a very, very simple question. Are coffee and tea allowed on carnivore?
I would ask this totally if I'm just getting started on this protocol. If somebody said, hey, I was able to lose a lot of weight, I was able to get well, I feel fantastic by doing carnivore, then I'm thinking for myself, like, hey, maybe this would work for me too. Maybe this eating approach would help me and my health as well. So I've got a couple of questions, and one of them would be, is coffee and tea okay? I mean, that's not animal based, but that would be something that I'm currently drinking. Would I have to get rid of that in order to go carnivore?
Well, you want to see the response that they got?
Sure. Why not add a side of cake and an extra large pizza while we're at it? What a snarky, mean, non-helpful result that would make the person asking the question feel like they don't belong here.
Yes. Now, I'm going to be honest, we have left the names on here intentionally. Because if you're one of these people, shame on you.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is, this one said you should never buy meat from Walmart.
But what if you live in a small town like we do and you don't have access to like a plethora of grocery store options, or you don't have the resources to be able to buy a full share of a cow from like a local farm? What if I need to shop at Walmart's?
How about this one? Has anyone done this diet by only eating chicken? I do not enjoy beef or lamb. Valid question. Right,
Asking
we
for
actually have people right now that have alpha-gal syndrome. They cannot even consume beef or lamb without getting violently ill. They have to eat poultry and fish and things like that.
And they're asking, can I use another protein? They're not even suggesting the gasp. You employ some vegetables in this.
Take a look at the response that they got.
Sounds like this isn't your way of eating. Okay, well, Kevin, what do you suggest is their way of eating? Go back to eating the standard American diet? Just like give up on their health? Like if they can't do it the way that you do it, Kevin, then it must be that they don't get to do this at all?
Yep. Let's take a look at another one. Ground beef bought from the supermarket is unlikely to be a whole food.
How so, sports fan?
How about this one? There are not enough micronutrients or fat in chicken alone. It is time to eat like an adult and not a toddler by adding more variety. Carnivore will help your kidneys.
So what gives you the certification to even say something like that? I mean, we out front will tell you we're not doctors, nurses, or health professionals, but I'm going to tell you there's plenty of people on the interweb that will mask themselves like, I know best. I am a master and I like know all things when it comes to this.
And newsflash, by the way, if you're only eating ribeye, you're missing micronutrients too. You need to be eating the entire animal or finding those micronutrients in other areas. So, you need to be eating the liver, the kidneys, the heart, drinking the blood, or supplement it in other places. Just eating a steak every day, you will still be missing micronutrients. How about this one? It is better to not eat eggs at all if they are from caged chickens, etc. The omegas in it will be messed up and you will indeed get bad cholesterol.
Absolutely.
Which is nonsense.
Well, I know, it's completely a baseless claim. I mean, it's nonsense, yes, but the fact that somebody gives you this like opinion that comes down like it's like a gavel, like they've judged that this is the truth. They never give any documentation from it unless they're going to send you to some fringe weirdo group. That's the only documentation, but you don't get any kind of scientific evidence or any type of lab report on like why they're saying what they're saying.
Let's take a look at this last one. It says, You cannot get the minerals and vitamins required from chicken. Chicken is a low-fat and a low-grade protein. You need fat, you need beef, and you have to stay disciplined.
First of all, why is all the hatred about chicken, right? First of all, like that is
I'm offended as a poultry producer.
Perfectly legit. And I'm not saying that we think that chicken solves all the world's ills, right? We're just saying that if somebody can afford chicken and they've moved their little Debbie cupcake budget to buy chicken instead, I don't think you should be throwing shade on that. You should be encouraging them. And the fact, like, you have to stay disciplined. What's undisciplined about somebody who has let so many other things go in order to eat protein, right?
So here's my suggestion. Stay out of these groups.
Seriously.
Stay out of these groups. But why do you see this happening? Why is this the trend? It's very simple, because algorithms reward intensity and not moderation.
I remember, thinking when we started the farm that the one thing I was never going to have is a cow. And the reason why is because I had all of my cow knowledge from watching Dr. Pol on Disney Channel, Disney Plus. And on Disney Plus, like the Dr. Pol, vet thing, he constantly lived with his hands completely up a cow's butt. Like that, every single episode, there was some cow that was having some sort of a terrible situation and he had to, put his hand up the cow's butt. And I remember once we moved to Arcadia talking to a farmer and them saying like,
cows are like one of the easiest livestock.
And I was like, well, how many times do you have to put your hand up your cow's butt? And the farmer was like, none, like 0 times. And I'm like, but Dr. Pol always has his hands up a cow's butt. And the farmer said to me, well, without drama, then there's no show. And that really stuck with me because, yeah, you need drama to have a show. And I think that people want to be the star of a show. And so they have to bring drama to the space that they're in to make the show happen, right?
Hence, you see things pop up like the sugar diet or hyperketosis, or here's the new one, eat your beef raw.
Right.
Like go out to the pasture, kill the cow with your hand, or even better yet, like just bite into his flesh.
Yes.
And eat it completely raw. Cover your face in blood. That's where we're going.
Well, I mean, what about rabbit starvation, right? If you eat chicken, if you eat a lean protein, like for any amount of time, you're making yourself prone to rabbit starvation.
So just keep in mind, as soon as you win the title nearly perfect, this is for all of the people that are making these comments. When you win this title that I am nearly perfect,
you probably think of yourself like this, like, hey, I am top dog. I am an apex carnivore. Like you may have won that title in your mind that you're doing things the most perfect. There's a problem though.
A new rung will be added to the ladder of perfection.
So as soon as you award yourself like top dog and great white shark, this is what's going to happen. An orca who eats great white sharks is going to say, hold my beer, because there's always going to be somebody that goes crazier than you are crazying right now.
It's interesting because, we have escalated from everybody doing keto, and you had a few people who were eating mostly meat, and you had carnivore, but it really wasn't promoted. It was just a stricter form of keto, but we were all in one group. And then we had somebody come along and create the lion diet. And if you don't know who that is, it is Mikhaila Peterson. But she created the lion diet for a very specific reason. She was uber sick.
Right. She was very, very sick. So again, like she didn't create it so that she could be the most right. She did it so that she could eliminate variables and figure out what was going on with her body.
So fun fact, Mikhaila Peterson does not consume the lion diet anymore.
And yet there's people that are left in the wake of
saying that is the only way that you should be eating. And this is not on Mikhaila Peterson. This is people basically going, I'm going to be better than even that because I'm just going to do it for the rest of my life. But newsflash, there has never been a human civilization in the history of the world that ate 100% meat. By that, I mean, like, that's the only thing they ever ate. They never touched a berry. They never touched a plant, anything. It's never happened. The closest is the Inuits, but even them ate berries or eat berries and seaweed and the intestines of animals when they can find it.
And here's the thing. They were never eating to get a reward. They were never eating to be perfect. They were not eating to get a certain like merit badge of I am doing things right. They were just eating what was local to them and what was available to them because they were opportunistic eaters. That's what we are. Now we are chasing a badge that was not ancestral. It's not ancestral to think I'm going to eat perfect. We traditionally eaten because it fuels our bodies.
So we get it though. Outrage spreads faster than restraint. And the echo chambers feel safe because everybody inside of them, like everybody inside of these groups for the most part, they agree. But when nobody's challenging the narrative, that's where the drift begins.
And probably we're causing people right now to get a little bit uneasy in their seat. But we feel like we need to push back against this because this is the point where movements fracture. Not because they were wrong, but because people stopped listening.
So the original Jaws movie worked because it respected tension. So one of the things about the original Jaws movie was the reason you never saw the shark was broken.
Right.
So they had to come up with a way to make this movie work without a working mechanical shark. So they used music and drama to create tension.
Well, and I think that when we first started keto and people started thinking about just living a fat-fueled way, right? That a fat-fueled way of eating was an alternative to carbohydrate eating, right? The tension that naturally rose from that is the fact that people were going to do things differently, that they were going to do things based on their personal taste. They were going to do things based on their personal budget. We weren't all in lockstep with one another. And yeah, it did cause tension because what was okay for me to eat and what I could eat without like maybe over consuming was different than the guy next to me. But we were okay to sit side by side with each other and be in that tension.
So while the original movie respected tension, the sequels assumed that spectacle was really, that was all we need is spectacle. But here's the thing. If we are not careful, the low carb, the keto, the carnivore communities are going to find themselves in a very interesting place.
Fonzie jumping the shark on Happy Days. No, it was a response to the Jaws movie, right? It was a desperate attempt when something is like on its way out the door that you say, let's get one more bit of spectacle.
So, fun fact about the movie Jaws. The movie Jaws changed the way people view sharks. You know, like as a scuba diving instructor, I will tell you, like I have dove with sharks. And I'm not talking about in cages, just here in Fort Lauderdale, you go down and sharks swim. They, for the most part, leave you alone. They don't like the taste of you. Sharks attacking humans are generally a case of mistaken identity, or like putting on a black wetsuit and swimming with a bunch of seals. You know, you don't do that. But the movie changed how everybody viewed sharks. People became terrified of them. And so that's where this jumping the shark, it was supposed to be this fear thing. But it was the downfall of the TV show Happy Days. Jumping the shark became a phrase that describes the exact moment that a show goes from grounded to ridiculous, just in a desperate attempt to stay relevant.
And this is what happens when a movement stops focusing on what made it work and starts chasing extremes instead.
So, why are we talking about this? It's very simple, because we don't want this community to jump the shark, because there are still people who need to get well.
So just to kind of bring us back to what's really important in the world right now, The average American only eats 5 to 6 ounces of meat a day, mostly poultry, and that is the good news. So I'm not talking about, these like real fringe groups. I'm talking about the average American. And what's worse is the average American child and teenager gets nearly 2/3 of their calories from ultra processed foods.
But they're kids.
That's right. What about adults?
That's normal. Adults over the age of 60 still get more than half of their calories from ultra processed foods.
And let's define what ultra processed food really is, because it is pretty scary. Ultra processed foods are defined as industrial formulations made mostly or entirely from substances extracted from foods, derived from parts of foods, or synthesized in laboratories with little or no intact whole food remaining.
So, an ultra-processed food is something that could not realistically be made in your home kitchen using ordinary ingredients. For example, lab-grown meat.
Yes.
It generally contains ingredients that you would not normally cook with, like modified starches, soluble corn fibers, and flavor enhancers. And it is generally designed to be highly convenient, shelf-stable, and often very hyper-palatable.
And before you get started, it's important for you to know that bacon is not an example of an ultra-processed food.
So let's go over what some ultra-processed foods are. Most candy, chips and cheese puffs, packaged cookies and snack cakes, breakfast cereals, Hot Pockets and frozen dinners,
Many protein bars, and most packaged breads and buns. And this is, like we're telling you from statistics, what most of the American children and American seniors are currently eating.
Now, I'm sure somebody is going to go, well, wait a second, chips and cheese puffs and packaged cookies and cakes, you can make that at home. You are right. However, what makes these ones that you're buying in the store ultra processed is they are actually scientifically engineered to make you eat more.
Right.
They are adding in ingredients that you are not adding in your home kitchen. Your home chocolate chip cookies have very different ingredients than buying, Toll House or, Chips Ahoy. Go look at those ingredients and look at what your recipe is. That's what makes these ultra processed foods. So we may be different in our approaches to a proper human diet, but we all do have a very common enemy should we actually choose to work together to fight it.
Yeah, I actually love the fact that in the Jaws movie, you got 3 very different guys, right, working together for this common enemy. So whether you're low carb, you're keto, or you're carnivore, that sounds like 3 groups that could work together if they wanted to fight the real enemy, which is not one another.
So it is not too late to rewrite the script on how this story ends. I mean, we can meet people in the middle. Our people.
Your people.
We believe it is possible.
I mean, look at right here. You know who's another carnivore? A dolphin. A dolphin is a carnivore that gets invited to more parties. Why? Because they're more approachable. It's not too late. No matter what you're eating, even if you're super ultra mega strict, you can still be approachable, encouraging, and somebody that other people who aren't eating exactly like you want to be around.
So let's bring this back to physiology. Your body responds to simple things: insulin, cortisol, sleep, muscle mass, and energy balance.
The body does not respond to diet loyalty, online applause, or how strict someone sounds.
If your version of discipline is raising your stress, is disrupting your sleep, is causing you food anxiety, is making it difficult for you to leave your home, or if it's isolating you socially,
you are not experiencing metabolic health. You're experiencing Jaws 4.
It's louder. I mean, it's bigger. It's more dramatic, but it is not better.
So let's talk about what metabolic health actually requires. It requires adequate protein, muscle preservation, stable blood sugar, stress regulation, and sustainability, not escalation.
So we used to think that stricter was always better. We used to think that higher ketones meant more fat loss, which is just not true. And we thought flexibility was a weakness.
But now we understand that extremes are just phase one when you're getting started on something. Maturity is phase two.
So phase one says, I am fixing this.
And phase two says, I am sustaining this.
Sustainability requires you to have flexibility. It requires you to have context. And it requires you to not panic when your life happens.
Now, don't get us wrong. This middle ground that we're on, it's not a cheat culture. It's not carb chaos or anything goes. I mean, when we think of someone who is low carb, I don't see somebody that's just eating a stack of pancakes and like chips and like they're just cheating all the time trying to see what they can get away with.
I mean, when we say somebody is eating a keto diet, this is not what we mean when we say keto.
No.
And this is not the goal for carnivore.
No, we are not heading to the point where, we have to eat the cow while it's still living, right?
Well, the funny thing is you say we're not heading there, but we are heading there. This is where you see people going. We literally just came back from a get together where people were talking about, I only eat, and the only way you should be eating your meat is completely raw, uncooked, and even the fat should never be cooked. You should be eating the raw suet off of a cow and never consume rendered cooked fat.
Now, you can do that if you want to, but I'm going to tell you, you're kind of in the weeds.
Yes. So the middle ground is having strong convictions with having very, very soft edges.
Take a look at me pre-keto. That was a sick girl. I know that when it comes to metabolic health, we're talking about insulin-aware eating. We're talking about high-quality protein, muscle focus, electrolyte literacy, sleep protection, sleep awareness, and social flexibility. I know that these are hard things to accomplish, but they are able to be accomplished without a dogma that isolates other people from approaching you.
So the sequel's mindset says that we need to make everything bigger.
But actually, the mature mindset says, let's just make it better.
The goal is not to be the strictest person in the room.
No.
It's to be the healthiest version of yourself when you are 70 years old, when you are 80 years old, and when you are 90 years old. Now, we really hope that this presentation kind of opened up your mind to it's okay to be average. We don't have to be extreme in one way or the other. You don't need to eat every piece of sugar out there, but you don't need to eat your steak raw because you want to be better or because it is the only way that everybody should be eating right now.
Well, and if you are somebody who considers themselves super strict, that's great, but I hope that it also opened your eyes to remember the you that started this when you were just getting started and, you had questions and you wanted to feel like you could be accepted, right? Without some sort of a performance, that you could just ask questions and find, maybe some accountability, but an understanding group of people who would be there for you, when you needed them.
And the reason that this is such an important topic for us is because, as we said, there are people who still need help. Most people are still eating the standard American diet. Most people are still fighting the fact that they should be allowed to buy as much soda and soluble corn fiber and syrups and, sugar and candy as they want. And they think that it is healthy to eat seed oils, and they think it is unhealthy to eat meat. And our job as a community is to help them find the proper human diet. Let them decide what level there is. But if we all come into this community and say, well, the only way to do this is to only eat beef and grow up if you want to eat chicken, then you're going to scare those people away. And ultimately, we as a community, if we get this strict, if we get this dogmatic, we are partially responsible for them not finding this lifestyle, and therefore we are partially responsible for their death when it comes to their eating.
Well, and if we really are in outrage over big food, big pharma, and like policies that are in place, then we need to stay as a unified front. We are not going to change the world by being fractured little, groups. We need to stay unified and keep our eyes on the real enemy of good health.
So let's all come together as a community, no matter where you are, and just decide that as a community, the enemy is big pharma. The enemy is big food. The enemy is the overconsumption of overly processed foods, the overconsumption of sugar, of pasta, of grains, of all of the chemicals that are in our food, and help people on the outside find a good way of living, and then everybody together can begin to get healthier. Now, if you like seeing videos like this, please do us a favor and take a look at the video we have linked right over there. Also, make sure you take a look at our most recent video that I'm gonna put right over here.
But whether you head this way or you head this way, don't forget to head this way. Subscribe to our channel and click the little bell icon, and that way every single time we upload a new video, you'll be alerted to it.
Till next time.
Bye.